Now, today, I'm going to show you the most famous specimen of the transitional fossils of humanity's closest ancestors. You might already know her as Lucy. She belongs to the species of Australopithecus afarensis. What happened is that there was a population of individuals from the species that the hominin LCA belonged to. That population, due to environmental pressures, evolved into Australopithecus. So, let me just write it down real quick. One of the species of Australopithecus was Australopithecus afarensis. Eventually, a population of people from Australopithecus afarensis evolved into Homo. If you learned anything from a biology course about evolution, you may have heard of not only Homo sapiens, but also Homo erectus, Homo habilis, and Homo ergaster. These are all different species within the genus Homo. We anatomically modern humans can trace our lineage back to Australopithecus afarensis. Not all of us can trace our lineage back to Lucy directly, because she's not like Eve from the Bible, who's supposed to be the mother of all humanity. Rather, Lucy was just a member of the species that our species descended from. Here are some more transitional fossils. This is Pakicetus, an ancient species of whale. The name comes from the fact that these fossils were discovered in Pakistan. Whales and hippos share a common ancestor called the whippo. But over the course of millions of years, a population of whippos evolved into the species Pakicetus. Let me just write that down. The Pakicetus was just starting to adapt to life underwater, but you can still see its mammalian features such as claws and fur. Later on, a population of whales from Pakicetus evolved into the species Dorudon, which was fully adapted to living underwater. Millions of years later, a population of whales from Dorudon evolved into the common ancestor of today's toothed and baleen whales. So let me just write that down really quickly. Just to further drive home the fact that we do have transitional fossils, here is a transitional fossil of Archaeopteryx, a direct ancestor of avian dinosaurs, also known as birds. In my Skepticism 101 episode about the fallacy of the crocoduck, I explained that birds and non-avian dinosaurs are both dinosaurs because they share a common ancestor, the dinosaur ancestor. I don't know if this happened before or after the non-avian dinosaur extinction event, but long ago, a population of individuals from the dinosaur ancestor species evolved into Archaeopteryx. So let me write that down. Even though Archaeopteryx is an example of the transition from the dinosaur ancestor species to the avian dinosaur species, Archaeopteryx still retains several of its ancestors' physical features, such as sharp teeth. Currently, we don't see any birds exhibit sharp teeth. That's because of the historical fact that a population of birds from Archaeopteryx evolved into the common ancestor of modern-day birds. That's right, the common ancestor of ducks, albatrosses, chickens, eagles, falcons, etc. Let me just write that down so that you can understand it concretely. You can see that I don't have enough space to list all of the descendants of the modern bird ancestor. Of course, there are many more transitional fossils that you can look up on your own time. For this entire series on creationism, I have not presented any compelling evidence for the theory of evolution. I presented some evidence, but only for the sake of providing counter-evidence to creationism. Remember, Skepticism 101 is not a science course. It's a skepticism course. I was never trying to prove the scientific credibility of evolution. That is the job of evolutionary biologists. All I've been doing was present evidence against creationism, which is not a valid alternative to evolution. I'm not a biologist, so I don't know whether or not there are any valid alternatives to evolution. There could be, And I would be really amazed if there were, if the scientific community announces a brand new hypothesis that disagrees with the theory of evolution, then the theory of evolution will be demoted to hypothesis, and we'll finally have real, rigorous scientific debate on the origin of species. Unfortunately, creationism is not a debating partner. It just dishonestly fogs up that which has already been clarified. It presents itself as science when nothing can be further from the truth. It trespasses into the field of biology and impersonates an unknown scientific hypothesis that competes with the hypothesis of evolution, almost like impersonating a medical doctor. And we all know how illegal it is to impersonate a medical doctor. If you're still a creationist after watching my series on creationist pseudoscience, then don't bother commenting. But if you believe in neither creationism nor evolution, please feel free to post your alternative in the comment section. Or maybe you're someone who knows that creationism is false, but doesn't really buy the concept of evolution. If evolutionism is the unshakable belief that evolution is true, then I am not an evolutionist. I am simply anti-creationist. I welcome any scientific hypothesis that is actually committed to serious scholarly work. Finally, I can focus on my brand new series on global warming denial. I will upload my first video on that topic next week. But for now, join me for a non-climactic, random episode of History 01.